I am Dynasty Outhouse, and I have a trading problem.
And I'm Brian Haar, and I also have a trading problem.
Hey, there you are. All right, so I have no idea what I'm doing. We've never done this before, and it looks like there's no one in the chat, but we are doing Trade Addicts live. Even if nobody's watching, it's still live to us, and I'm not editing it, and I don't care. So, man, Brian, we talked yesterday. We're talking again today, but how you doing, man?
I'm well, man. How are you?
I am I'll use the word stoked. I don't even really know what that word means, but I'm going to use it because that's what the cool kids say. And yeah, I'm super excited to do this. How about that? That's very much more my level of things to say. Super excited.
Yeah, man, me too. I'm very excited. Have been really excited about this for ever since we kind of talked about it, and then now that it's come to fruition and we're doing it, hoping some folks show up so that we can chat with them. But we're doing it regardless, and I'm very excited as well. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of people tell us that they were going to be here for this. So, I mean, I took lists, I have names. So, if all of you people don't show,
We're
I
coming
know
for
who
you.
you are. Yeah, that's
That's
right. You
right.
better watch out because, grr, we're vicious people who can do mean things. Man, it also seems like the Hangouts the YouTube is like super behind. Joe is still at work. That get off your phone, man. He's you know what? Typing and talking was never really my forte. This was probably a terrible idea.
Nah,
All
we'll
right.
be good. We'll be good. We got some questions already, so
Yeah, we got some stuff lined up. Plus, you know that you and me never have any problem just coming up with crap to rant about.
nope.
And I already have one or two things set off, ready to go. So don't you guys worry. All right. But first, we should talk about the game last night. Just because I know technically once I actually edit and send out the episode from yesterday with Shane, it will have all of our instant reactions because I've even started editing and really left in all of us screaming at the TV. But like think of all the exaggerations that you normally hear. There's a barn burner. That's actually the only one I could think of right now, but I'm sure there's
Slobber
tons of them.
knocker.
Yeah, slobber knocker. That's a good one. I mean, like that was what the third most points ever scored in a football game.
Yep.
And it was the first time two teams scored over 50 points in the same game. And man, fantasy implications, because it's not like it just came out of nowhere. These were two teams that people have stakes in. These are obviously two high flying offenses, but two teams where three wide receivers and tight ends and running backs all matter. And Tilt City is all I have to say. I mean, if you heard, you will hear Shane and me going back and forth in our matchup against each other. He had Brandon Cooks, I had Patrick Mahomes. At one point, I was within 3 points of him, and then Mahomes felt like throwing to the wrong team a few times, which was not great. I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, on Twitter, the amount of people you heard saying, "Oh man, that game." Oh man, and man, I could actually see myself talking now, and I see like how much I'm rubbing my head and stuff. I'm like, man, I gotta stop doing that.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, this is weird. All right. So, Brian, do you have any games any fantasy games that swung by this one?
Yeah. Actually, the Scott Fish Bowl swung for me in a huge way. I was sitting at 6-4 going into this week. I was way behind in points. I think I'm like in terms of the points leaderboard, even after this week, I think I'm in the 400 somewhere. So I'm like right in the middle of the pack. But I had been able to win some games early in the year that helped me as far as my record went. And then of course started playing some teams where I couldn't afford to not score a lot of points and lost a few there. But so I was sitting at 6-4 coming into this week, and I only had Jared Goff left. I was down by like 46.5 points or something like that. And he scored 47 some. I won by 1.3 points. So it was huge for me. Got me up to 7 wins. So I'm one away from clinching that playoff berth in the Scott Fish Bowl, which would be amazing. This is my first year participating in the bowl. And I'm really excited. I want to I want to get into the playoffs and see what happens after that. So, but yeah, that was a huge game for me. I actually lost in the DLF staff league. I had Mahomes going, and I had Kareem Hunt going, but he had Tyreek Hill, and I lost. I
Ooh.
lost by 5 points. In that he had a little bit of a lead heading into last night's game, and then I closed the gap quite a bit, but Tyreek kind of gave him enough. He had a huge night, so he gave him enough
To
to
say
hang
the
on at the
least,
end. So
man.
yeah. So a couple of my matchups that were impacted pretty substantially there. What a fantastic football game, though. I mean, we talked about it last night when we were on the show and off the air and on the air, as you'll hear. But what a game. I mean, just so entertaining to watch. I mean, I'm from Pittsburgh originally, right? So, we're 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, we're playing in the mud, and we're Jerome Bettis, where he's averaging 2.7 yards a carry, and or whatever. And so I've always been a guy that's, run the football, play defense. I'm coming around this offensive stuff, man, and the stuff they're doing. Andy Reid and Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. I mean, the Niners haven't experienced the success that these other guys have yet. But these offensive teams they're a blast to watch. These games are awesome. These back and forth games where they're scoring in the upper 30s, 40s, and last night 50s. Just a lot of fun to watch, in my opinion. So, if you're a defensive purist or a former defensive player, I feel your pain.
Too bad.
Yeah, I feel your pain, but I really do enjoy watching that brand of football. It's a lot of fun.
Though I think I've gotten to the point where I enjoy the salty Booger McFarland.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like he's like, dude, this is going to be. I'm not doing this. This isn't happening next season. So I'm just going to let it all out there. And first of all, that thing that he rides on is still the dumbest thing in the world.
It is. And our buddy Nick went to that game last Monday night in San Fran, and he was shooting us pictures of McFarland. He had really good seats. They were in like the 8th row, and Booger's there and just blocking his view. It was awful. Yep. So
like, how do they not see that coming?
Yeah, I don't know. It's that whole Monday Night Football thing right now is just kind of a mess overall. But we got lucky again last night. The game, they couldn't mess the game up. I mean, the game was that fantastic that crew, even with how bad they've been and were again, the game overshadowed the announcers, and it was just a fantastic football game. And I love that. The other thing that's really cool about last night is there were superstars at every position on the football field. I mean, when you think about it, you're talking, in my opinion, 2 top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that are both only like 24 years old or younger. I mean, I think Goff's 24. These guys are going to be around for a long time, so barring injury, and we'll hope that doesn't happen, because it's going to be fun to watch these 2 guys sling the ball for years to come here. And then again, I mean, the running backs, and Gurley didn't really look like himself. I don't know if he got banged up. I think he might have been a little banged up or something
going around, but I don't know if they're just spreading that because they didn't feel like playing them or something. But
right,
yeah, it seems like it, right? Because he definitely could have done more than he did. Even though, I mean, do you have the right to be angry at Gurley ever? At this point in fantasy?
Yeah, I mean, if you've owned him the last season and a half, no, I don't think you can, because he's giving you everything and more than what you probably were expecting. So I wouldn't be. I mean, yeah, disappointed if you lost. You were feeling real good if you were within 15 points and had Gurley going, but you didn't get it last night. And for me, I chalk that up to, oh well. I mean, he's performing every week almost, so it's it is what it is. I hope he's okay.
Oh, well, I mean, at least it's his bye week, but we're going to stop talking about real football. We actually have a question. FF Trader Joe, Trade Addicts 3, represent.
Right. Yeah.
What would you sell Jarvis Landry for in a Superflex PPR dynasty if you weren't a contender? I'm going to answer this first. I
Mhm.
wouldn't sell Jarvis Landry if I wasn't a contender. I mean, first of all, he's not scoring to the point where a contender is going to pay for him. And that offense is only going to get better. I mean, they're going to get their real coach. Who knows if this is their real offensive coordinator? And Baker's my bay. So, I mean, sky's the limit, man. If you're going to sell Landry, I would not settle for less than mid first plus.
Yeah. Yeah, Jarvis Landry's a tough one for me. I own him a couple places. I've moved him a couple places.
Well, we talked about our deal yesterday, which I mean, I think is inching into your favor.
Yeah, at least the way things have gone the last,
No, we should probably tell the people what it is because they haven't heard yesterday's show. Just to
yeah,
bring it back up, it was Jarvis Landry and Joe Mixon, which is what I got, and I gave Brian Mike Evans and Kenny Galladay.
yeah.
And it seems like Kenny Galladay is the truth.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, I'm hoping so. I like him quite a bit. So, but yeah, Landry, that's tough. I mean, he's still a top 3 round startup pick.
Mm-hmm.
According to DLF's latest mocks. So, I mean, he still holds a lot of value. Having said that, there's a lot of guys around him in that range that I think I would probably trade him for if I had the opportunity to get some of these guys. Galladay's one, for example.
What about Cortland Sutton and a second, which was brought up by Dynasty Fife, who's up in the chat room?
Yeah. Ooh, see, I'm a big Cortland Sutton guy too, so that's a tough one.
But I mean,
I would,
this is exactly what what this question needs because
yeah,
if you're not contending, you're going for that youth, and like right now, Cortland Sutton is the definition of all upside wide receivers.
yeah. So I think for me, I would probably try to squeeze a little bit more out of that. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's really that bad of value. I mean, I think Sutton's probably, when they get a quarterback in Denver, and apologies for my Case Keenum again. But yeah, I mean, when they get a quarterback in Denver, I think Sutton is going to be, he's going to be the guy there. He to me is the next one in this line of big physical fast
Kenny Galladay, right?
Yeah, exactly. Guys like Galladay, Andre Johnson, Julio. And I'm not saying he's going to have the career that those guys are going to have, but he might. I mean, he's a guy that, he's pretty talented, and he's shown, he's only caught, I think, he's not caught more than 3 passes in a game this season, but some of those catches have been, it's like, wow, what a play, So I do like Sutton a lot. I think again, I would probably try to squeeze a little bit more, but I wouldn't lose the opportunity to, get a young playmaker like that I believe in, over tinkering too much. So I think Sutton in a second is okay value wise. It's not. I would probably try to squeeze a little more, but I wouldn't lose the deal over it probably.
All right. So moving on, we'll call him friend of the show, Jake Anderson, since he made our sleek and sexy logo and our clunky and wonderful little brain guy logo before.
Yeah.
Jake wants to know cheap wide receivers you're targeting for contenders. And let's just say Larry Fitzgerald and get him out of the way because at this point. Besides the fact he does actually have a very good schedule coming up, but the answer is always Larry Fitzgerald. The guy I'm going to throw out, Adam Humphries. Assuming they can't go back to Ryan Fitztragic again. Like, what's his name? Jameis Winston loves Cameron Brate, loves Adam Humphries. I think Adam Humphries is maybe he's owned, but even if he is, it shouldn't cost you more than a third, very late second, which if I'm competing, I'll throw my second for the championship for a dude that will, in a PPR league, guarantee me 5-6 catches. So
Right.
yeah, Adam Humphries is my guy that I am right now. I would go right after, again, assuming you already have Larry Fitzgerald on your team.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good one. The so here's something else that I try to do. Um, if a lot of times when we get asked these types of questions, like the championship push types of questions, there's two types of guys that you can go after. One is guys like Larry Fitzgerald, who are at the end of their careers. We're not really sure what he's going to be moving forward. He quite possibly could retire after this year. I think it's likely, or he may have even said something like that, like he was on the way out or whatever. But there's those guys, guys like him, guys like Demaryius Thomas,
Who had 0 catches.
who had 0 catches. Yeah. Guys like Emmanuel Sanders. And then there's guys that are kind of more, I don't want to call them tweeners, but they're kind of like, they're guys that have a shot at the end of or the second half of the season here to contribute significantly to your team, but also might have some value going forward. So, for example, and I know on last night's show, and not to spoil it, but we talked about Josh Gordon a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, a guy like Josh Gordon is a guy who I think could help people this, at the end of this season. Now, I personally don't trust Josh Gordon moving forward to stay clean.
Yeah, but if we're talking about contenders, it all that really matters is the end of the season, right?
Right. It does. But still, I think you can look for guys. It just depends on what you want to spend. It really depends on if you're looking for if you're looking for cheap options, then guys like John Brown.
Even with Lamar Jackson.
Well, I was just going to say that with Lamar Jackson, it's maybe a little bit different. Just because he runs the ball 30 times a game. So, but there are other players too, in that mold. Guys like Golden Tate.
Hold on. Fife also asks, what are you trading Golden Tate for? So let's get both sides of Golden Tate right now.
Okay. Yeah. So
give me a buy and sell price for Golden Tate right now.
Yeah. So I think that Golden Tate's price right now is an early second.
So I would not
pay. I would not pay a first for him.
Nope.
Even if I was contending.
Nope.
But if I had him, I would want as early a second as I could get. I would probably move him for a mid second as well. So that's.
I mean, honestly, is his mid or wait? Is his buy or sell price all that different? Like, I feel like so. Mid second is really just what he is right now, and that's not bad, really. Yeah. Because I mean, you have to imagine they paid for him. They will try at one point to force him the ball,
right?
And I think nothing went the way they wanted it to against the Saints. Nothing went the way I wanted it to against the Saints with all of my Alshon shares.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully they get their S word together and start using Golden.
Yeah. Well, I think, and again, we talked about this last night. I think, Alshon's the guy that I think is the thing about Golden Tate is he's in the slot. He's a slot receiver, right?
So is Ertz, so is Matthews, that's other guys named Aguilar.
Yep, absolutely. And Ertz really is, I mean, if Zach Ertz wasn't there and they had some random, if they still had Selleck, who was fine.
There was nothing fine about Brent Selleck.
He was fine. He was all right. I mean, he wasn't Zach freaking Ertz, but he was all right. If it was a guy like that, then okay. I think Tate, I just, that offense to me, outside of the quarterback and maybe, the quarterback and Zach Ertz, and then maybe Alshon, they spread that ball around. I mean, the running backs, there's 3 of them all the time. Doesn't matter who's hurt. Doesn't matter who's, now Josh Adams is starting to get more carries and he's doing a pretty nice job. So we'll see what happens there. But, that offense for me just isn't, Golden Tate in Detroit, I would probably pay a late first for if I was contending. Yes. Golden Tate now in Philly, I don't know. I don't see it quite as much. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the buy and the sell price is probably about the same.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. All right. What else do we got here? Let's go to one of our questions that were asked beforehand. And if you are ever doing a podcast and you need questions, reach out to Eric Flynn at Eric John Flynn. He has questions. That is what this dude does. So let's get to, I mean, we answered, well, his phrasing was, who is the undercover hack to winning your playoff matchups? So who's going to come out that you don't expect to help you win the championship? And honestly, like to me, it's the old dudes that people don't value. Like Larry Fitzgerald has that awesome schedule coming up. I mean, maybe it is Golden Tate because the Eagles don't have that bad of a schedule either. Let's see, Curtis Samuel. The Panthers have a very good schedule, and I think Funchess is just like a cheerleader at this point. I mean, he's gone to the
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. He's gone to what, the fourth wide receiver option there. So Curtis Samuel has worked his way into the number 2 wide receiver, and he will probably still cost you practically nothing because he didn't score much this week, I don't think. But he's had, 3 touchdowns in the past 3 games?
Mm-hmm.
So I think... sorry.
I was just saying they're finding a way to get him the ball. I mean, they're designing plays to try to get him the ball. So...
Yeah, and which is awesome to see because the Panthers have been so uncreative, and now they have all of these playmakers, and it seemed like at the beginning of the season they weren't actually going to change that. But like 3 games ago when that DJ Moore breakout session happened, loved it. Jake wants to know what we are willing to pay to get Curtis Samuel. It's still not a first.
No.
Late second. Because you want it to be a thing. There's so many options. And like, let's still face it. What is the biggest difference between DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey? They're all kind of the same thing, but I'm still willing to pay a second because any given time, Curtis Samuel can go for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns on 3 plays. And he is the kind of guy that they will manufacture touches for.
Right.
So yeah, if I'm competing, or even if I'm not, if I have like a ton of second round picks, I'd be fine throwing one, not my earliest, not my latest, one of those in the middle. I would definitely pay for Curtis Samuel.
Yeah. I think I mean, and we've talked about this on the show before too, but I think for me, when we're talking about picks, especially this year, I just, I would be willing to take a shot on an upside guy, a high upside guy like Samuel. Maybe not high upside, but an upside guy, like you said, a guy that can create a pretty nice stat line on 3, 4, or 5 touches. Doesn't have to get 10, 12 targets to make a difference on your fantasy team. And again, that for me comes down to this class is not impressive to me. So I'm now in the 2020 class. Now we're talking different things. I'm not sure, that second would have to definitely be later in that class for me to consider Samuel. I may not do that.
It's
I may do
still
a third,
year away.
I know it is. I know it is.
How good this class will be.
You should. I'm telling you.
I can't wait to sell these picks like they're like, what was it, 2017? Right after the 2016 season started, when 2017 picks were available, those things were like gold. And then what did that turn into? I mean, not to say the same thing's going to happen, but
well, here's what I'd say. I think we and you and I are both notorious for throwing picks around.
And here's Mandrew, who popped into the chat saying he sold all of his 2019 picks. And if one of the hosts of the Devi Watch sold his 19 picks, I mean, that may tell you something about the draft class.
Yeah. So, and we're notorious for throwing our picks around in deals. And you're right. You do have a lot of time. What I'd say about that class is make sure in between the time that you sell those picks, get a few of them back. Because you're gonna want them eventually.
Yeah, but there's always time for that.
Yeah, there is. You're right.
Yeah. All right, so we got a couple more questions rolling in. Let's take this nice little easy one first. J Tudor 302000. I'm sure this is like 32,000. Whatever. Don't care. Josh Adams, the number 1 in Philly in 2019? If so, worth I'm going to guess that's an early second. All right, people, early or late is really the only way I can actually refer to words picks without getting confused, because high could mean both high in number or high in draft order. So early and late, that's how I roll. So Josh Adams, worth an early second to you, and do you think he's the number one going into next year?
No.
Yeah, me neither. There's no way they don't bring someone in, and even if they do, it's still going to be four people. There's nothing showing that Peterson will change how he feels about stables.
Right. I mean, the thing there is that's exactly right. I mean, they're going to, if they don't bring in a stud running back, then they're going to have a committee. I mean, the only way this doesn't happen and there's not a committee is if they get somebody like Le'Veon Bell. Now, if they were to get Le'Veon Bell, then yeah, maybe it's less of a committee, right? And I mean, he's gonna get the bulk of carries if he goes there or wherever he goes. So if they bring in somebody like that, that's one thing. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, I don't see them shifting from this philosophy of having 2 to 3 backs participate in that backfield quite a bit. So yeah, I'm not giving an early second for Adams right now. Would I at the beginning of next season if he opens as the starter? I don't know. That's a different conversation. It would depend on my team probably, and if I really needed running back help. But not right now. I'm not doing that right now.
I won't trust any of it. I sold Josh Adams in a deal to I'm competing, and I sold another share of Kenny Galladay. I sold Kenny Galladay and Josh Adams for Zach Ertz in a team where I am super solid, except I had Trey Burton as my tight end, and I don't trust the guy.
Yeah, that's a heck of a deal.
Yeah. So I'm super happy about that. But yeah, no, I was like, the guy thought he was pulling something clever on me. Like, because like I didn't hear that Peterson wants to get Josh Adams more touches. But it doesn't matter. Like, I already have Nick Chubb, Baquan, and Mark Ingram.
Championship.
Right? I mean, do you have to see some of this league is
you have Baquan.
Yeah, I got Baquan. Well, I earned Baquan, and I'm making my way to the championship. That's how much fun I've had in that league. Oh man, rebuilding is so much fun, everybody. If you haven't rebuilt a team yet, if you do it the right way, like this rebuild has taken me 3 years. Every penny worth donating to the league for those 3 years to have Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, Baquan, Amari Cooper, Corey Davis. I mean, I guess I had Kenny Galladay, Nick Chubb, like this team, Pat Mahomes, like this, like I built what I think can be a dynasty, and it feels awesome. So like I get drafting is some people's favorite parts, and it's not. F you, Jake Anderson, F rebuilding, winky tongue out emoji. So, and Brian isn't looking at the chat room, so he's not really. Oh, are you?
I'm looking at it.
Okay,
I can't, for some reason, I can't participate in the chat, but that's okay.
Oh, good. Nobody really wants to talk to you anymore.
No, that's fine.
All right, but before this goes off the screen, we're going to pivot. Lamar Jackson in a super flex. What do you think he's worth right now? And especially now that he's playing.
Far more than the 201 and 202, for sure.
Especially given like is going on in this chat saying that this is a very bad QB class. I mean, Herbert's going to work his way into the early first just because there is no one else. Well, there's always that one dude from small school who blows up in the last 3 games and becomes Mitch Trubisky.
Right.
I mean, so I'm sure someone will jump up there. I think there's like a dude from Duke. I don't know. Maybe Mandrew can jump up here and help me out with that. But there's always someone. But still, I don't think there's anyone that is close to what Lamar Jackson could be. So there's no reason to do that.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is Duke's.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that's even the guy. I don't even really know. I have so much stuff on Twitter that I get some of. And sup, Bobby jumped in just to say hi. Everybody needs a rebuild. That's right, Trader Joe. Everybody needs a rebuild.
It's funny talking about rebuilds. I have a league. I'm in the DLFS, which is a superflex league that was formed on the forums over at Dynasty League Football, and that league. So I think this is our third year, and I started that league with Russell Wilson at the 4th overall pick, and then I traded like my second round and like a bunch of stuff. I don't even remember what it was for Andrew Luck. So I started off with Luck and Wilson. I have neither on my team anymore. It's been awful.
Nice.
And I knew pretty soon into that first season that I was lacking at every other possible position that there was. So I made a couple deals. I suck in that league. I am absolutely terrible. Last year, I think I won 3 games. This year, I've won 2 games so far. So I'm hoping to pass my 3-game benchmark, but I'm terrible. I have some pieces, but I had a nice draft. I drafted the Rosen and Mayfield, and then also Darius Geis. But then Geis went out, so that's been challenging a little bit. But I have more fun. That league is that's one of my best leagues in terms of entertainment value. I love, and I suck. I'm terrible. I mean, I'm bottom. I've been both years now. Well, this is our 3rd year. So first year, yeah, I think I've been like bottom 3 teams every year that I've played in this league, but it's one of the most fun leagues that I'm in, especially in the off season. And during the season, it's not so fun to look and see getting blown out by 40 points, but every week.
To the pain every once in a while.
After a while, you just become numb to it, So, but yeah, I mean, it is a blast. It's challenging and it's tough, and you have to. One thing I would say about rebuilds: if you're not gonna go all in, don't do it, because it takes it takes a lot of effort in terms of reaching out to other owners and making deals and researching, I mean, all the stuff that we're all supposedly doing all the time, right? Research your sleepers and try to, find a competitive advantage and all that stuff. But you really actually have to be doing it consistently when you're doing a rebuild, so that you don't miss 1 week of the waiver wire where you could grab a player that could make a difference on your team, or that you could use as a chip in a trade, in a trade negotiation. So, but yeah, I'm with you, Russ, on that one. I love rebuilds. When I have the time and energy to devote to them. I took on one too many this past off season. Well, 2 off seasons ago. So I got in over my head in that particular league. But this I love the process of rebuilding as well. So I'm with you on that one.
All right, let's jump into at FF Stompy's question. Who has been the best podcast guest, and why is it Stompy?
Sam.
That's why Stompy has been. I love all of my guests equally. There's no judgment in the Trade Addicts podcast. We love everybody. Sometimes we love people more when they just say, "Hey, let me get on your podcast," and I say yes, and that makes my life a little easier. So, yes, Stompy is clearly our boy. He has been. No, I'm trying to find a clever way to say everybody's the best, but no, I got nothing. Stompy's awesome. Get Stompy on your podcast. He's trying to do more stuff for some reason. I mean, sooner or later, we're going to get sick of you, Stompy. It's just inevitable.
Yeah, he's everywhere. He's like every corner of the Twitterverse and every website. I mean, geez. Good for him, though. That's awesome. I mean, Sam's a great guy and very knowledgeable and a lot of fun to talk to. So,
all right, enough about Stompy. We're going to get on to not only who was a guest on our show, but was a guest host on our show. John Hogue at Superflex Dude asks, what do you need in return for Michael Thomas if you're rebuilding? It's a 14-team PPR 1 QB. He has Michael Thomas, Cortland Sutton, Hunter Henry, Andrew Luck, maybe Doug Baldwin. How do you maybe have somebody? And a contender wants Thomas. Right now, if this was on Twitter, I would post the GIF from Leon, the professional, of Gary Oldman screaming everyone.
Yep.
I mean, Michael Thomas is the guy you build around. Michael Thomas isn't the guy you sell. Honestly, you can probably sell Sutton for two decent young guys right now. I mean, I know Sutton is also the kind of guy you want to build around, but like he's saying, he doesn't have that many good pieces. I don't know what maybe Doug Baldwin means, but sell Doug Baldwin, sell. I lost the list already. Hunter Henry, because he's a tight end. Who cares about tight ends?
Yeah.
Andrew,
So here's where I'm going with this one, and this comes from talking with Shane last night. We had Shane Manila on from DFF last night, and we looked at the show sheet and we thought it was hilarious what he said about
this is a wonderful spoiler alert.
Yeah. So and I won't say exactly what he said overall so that people actually listen to that show, but you don't sell great players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially for. So I guess back to John's question, his specific question about Michael Thomas.
Yeah, there you go.
I would need 3 to 4 significant contributors already that were under the age of 25.
Yeah, see, I was thinking like I need Diggs, Juju in a first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's asking too much at all.
No, because again,
at all.
We've been having conversations if Michael Thomas should be the wide receiver 1 altogether. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, that is. See, it's. I mean, we had an off-season talk on one of our episodes about buying studs, on how it always seems impossible to buy or sell because of what you need to ask for. But like we just said, that's not an unreasonable ask for someone who has the most receptions in the however many games he's in, because he beat out Odell Beckham's first. It can't be 40 games already, is it? But I mean, he's breaking receptions. He's like a 90% reception rate. It's not too much of an ask. And honestly, maybe I would probably do that if someone offered me Juju, Diggs, and a mid first for Michael Thomas. Yeah, I'd probably do that. Even though, again, we're saying don't sell your great guys.
But I wouldn't take much less than that. I mean, you can't. When you have a player like that produces at that level, and he's still young. I mean, he's only 25, so it's not like he's not 29. God forbid, right? I mean, that's a whole nother thing.
We'll get to it, I'm sure.
But yeah, I mean, that's, I would not take much less than that for Michael Thomas. It's just not worth, like I would not take guys like, and I like these guys, but I wouldn't take DJ Moore, Sutton, and a first. That's not even close to me. And I think those guys can be, I think both of those guys can be players in the league, but they're not yet.
Yeah, no, you can't sell someone like Michael Thomas for maybes. It doesn't matter how bright and shiny the maybes are. Like, even if we're in a Devy league and he's offering you Nikhil and Edwards, it doesn't matter. They haven't produced yet. It doesn't matter how shiny those quarters are. I couldn't do it. You shouldn't do it, because you're getting rid of something solid, something that can produce, and giving yourself a ton of maybes. And even if 1 out of the 3 babies work out, you're sort of just setting your team back. Unless your plan is to keep flipping, which, don't get me wrong, that's our deal. That's what we do. So if you're going to take Michael Thomas, sell him for 5 firsts, and then turn those firsts into Diggs or Juju, more power to you. But I don't think you should feel settled if you're trading someone like Michael Thomas for picks.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, it hit 9:30, and all of a sudden we went from 10 people to 4 people, which means open bar probably started.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, J Mike asked. He's like, "What time you start?" I'm like, "Oh, don't worry, buddy. I knew to start a little earlier than you guys." All right. So you put a question up there that I don't remember seeing.
Yeah. So this comes from Chaz, and this is at CMC727. He says, I got offered Joe Flacco, Jordan Howard, 2 late firsts, and a second for Jameis Winston and Aaron Jones. I already have the 101 locked up. Very young team. Jimmy G. Q and Josh Allen are my other quarterbacks, would you guys be a yay or nay? It's super flex.
Wow, that was a lot.
So
I was hoping to be able to do this just from you reading it, but no, I totally got to look at this.
Flacco, Howard, 2 late firsts and a second for Jameis and Aaron Jones.
I mean, that value is there. I wouldn't want to do it, but I mean, Joe Flacco at this point, is he value? Does he have value? Because do you put Lamar Jackson back in the box?
I would not do this deal.
I mean, I don't think I would, but I don't think it's wrong because if he's very young and he's not contending, he has Jimmy G and Josh Allen who are going to be starters for a long time. Joe Flacco can be his quarterback 3 because he'll Bortles somewhere. Jordan Howard at this point, I don't really want Jordan Howard on my team, but I mean, we're assuming Jameis is still going to be a starter. Is it a ride you want to be on? Like, are we reaching Le'Veon Bell at that point where people are like, I just don't want to deal with him anymore? With Jameis Winston,
they could.
If you're there, is 2 late firsts and a second and a fill-in quarterback that bad for him? And okay, us and Aaron Jones.
So here's the deal for me. The thing for me here is Aaron Jones, and I mean, would you? So here's honestly, this is how I'm breaking this down in my head. Okay,
mm-hmm.
Would you trade? Hang on.
Come on, I'm not editing. There's no.
No, I know.
There's dead air. You can't leave it.
I'm trying. Would you trade Nick Chubb, and would you trade Nick Chubb for Jordan Howard and 2 late firsts?
Again, if I would. It's not a bad trade. Would I do it? Probably not, because I've been all over Chubb since the whole draft process.
Would you trade Joe Mixon for Jordan Howard and 2 firsts?
I think Mixon's worth more than Chubb.
Okay. I think Aaron Jones is better than Joe Mixon.
Well, yeah. I remember you telling me he was going to be a top 2 round startup guy.
Aaron Jones has done more in I got to be careful here.
No, hyperbole. Throw it out there.
I'm sitting here thinking that I've seen Aaron Jones in the last 4 games do more than Joe Mixon has done so far. From a splash perspective and this guy's a special talent perspective to me. And I know I'm going to get hammered in the chat on this, and anybody that listens to this is probably going to give me a ton of crap for it, and that's fine. Let's have a conversation about it. But I mean,
John and Addison, and you'll be fine.
I'm not hiding. I'm right here. I love Aaron Jones. I think he's talented enough to be that type of player. I mean, Joe Mixon right now is the 13th overall dynasty asset according to November ADP. He's going 13th overall. You know, Aaron Jones is down in the 40s, I think, or something like that. But I see Aaron Jones elevating to that type of player, so he can get into the top 25 of that. And I would absolutely trade Jordan Howard and 2 late first for Aaron Jones. So for me, the deal, it ends up being Flacco and a second for Jameis. And I mean, in a super flex league, Jameis is 25, 26 now. I don't know. Feels like he's been around forever. You know, and he's not solidified in Tampa. And he hasn't played well, but he's going to get an opportunity elsewhere if he doesn't sign long-term there. I mean, there's somebody that's going to take a chance on Jameis Winston. He's done enough. He's a headache. He's absolutely a headache, but he's done enough. And if he can get with a quarterback's coach or somebody that can help him cut down on the turnovers, you know, I mean, he can sling it. You know, he doesn't always sling it to the right team. But yeah. But, you know, I don't know. I don't think it's bad value-wise. I think you're right. I think value-wise it's fine. I just don't think I would want to build around a guy like Aaron Jones. So this guy's already earned, Chaz has already earned the 101 for this incoming class. You know, you add N'Keal Harry or, you know, whoever ends up being your 101 is going to be a player, right? So you add that player to Aaron Jones and Josh Allen and Jimmy GQ, that's a decent start for, a rebuild. So
Never RBs in a rebuild. And plus, not everyone's as crazy as you are about Aaron Jones. So if this dude is a normal human being, two firsts for Aaron Jones is a very good price.
thank you, buddy. Thank you. You're right. I'm not normal. That's a good thing.
Oh, all right. As long as you're happy, that's what I care about. I mean, if I could say somewhat mean things and you'd be happy about it, then that's even better.
Nice.
All right, cool. Awesome. All right, let's find another question to ask. Actually, that's a lie. I want to talk about trade deadlines because there's a lot. I mean, it really started with me asking when everyone's trade deadline was, which was really a precursor for this because we really couldn't do it until this week. So if everyone was saying 2 weeks ago, I would have just dropped the idea. But enough people said Thanksgiving that I'm like, I want to do this anyway. So there should not be trade deadlines in Dynasty. In redraft, it's barely trading in redraft, or even keeper leagues, yeah, there should absolutely be trade deadlines. In Dynasty, I see zero reason. The only reason I have ever gotten, two reasons, and one of them is one of the worst things ever said in fantasy football. Well, there's a trade deadline in the NFL. Who cares?
Yeah.
We play fantasy football. We don't play real football. Our game is nowhere near an actual emulation of real football.
They play in pads and helmets. I don't sit around on Sunday afternoons in a football helmet.
And we don't have offensive linemen or punters. Okay, sorry. I know Gabe and J Mike do have a league with punters in it. Most human beings don't have a fantasy league with punters in it. I mean, this isn't real football. We don't play real football. We sculpt the game to what we want. I mean, this and trading is, if you ask a large part of the Dynasty community why they got into Dynasty itself, a lot of people are going to say the trades because you can't trade it in seasonal leagues because at some point there's no point to doing it. There's always a point to doing it in Dynasty. Your team can always get better. You could always make other teams worse for next year because you don't want to make teams worse. All right, I have my home league. My home league has a trade deadline. It's Thanksgiving. 2 years ago, Melvin Gordon gets hurt the first week of the fantasy playoffs. And I'm sitting with Kenneth Farrow on my team and not in the playoffs. Do we think Kenneth Farrow was going to be worth anything after that season? No, he wasn't very good. But he was still the only dude to come in and play running back while Melvin Gordon was hurt. And I could not do anything with him. Maybe was I going to get anything great for him? No. But could I have gotten something to make my team better? Yes, I absolutely could have. And that completely... Just the point is to make bad teams better. And if you're besides this is what the NFL does, if you're afraid of teams blowing up their teams to win for this year or selling cheap to get rid of old guys, that's on them. They're grown-ups. We don't veto trades because people are grown-ups. Let them do that. It's on them. If you're worried about them leaving, make them pay for next year's first, which I haven't done yet. I haven't gotten screwed over enough for it to be a thing. I mean, I feel like in our leagues, we have a decent enough group of guys that if someone did have to bow out, they wouldn't do it maliciously and sell off all their picks first.
Right.
So do what makes you happy. That's the point of all of this. If you ask me, should there be a deadline? The answer is no. Is there a deadline in the Trade Addicts leagues? God, no. I do not condone deadlines. What are your feelings on deadlines, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly... So I can understand the argument for having a deadline. I think when you don't have a deadline, especially in leagues where you don't know the guys, I mean, it's different. Like you said, in our Trade Addicts leagues,
you didn't know those guys. I literally the one prerequisite I had was not knowing who these people are.
Yeah, but I also think we got really lucky because I've been in leagues, and that's the thing. It just depends. I mean, I've been in leagues where there's just people that I think what not having a deadline does. So first of all, I'm perfectly fine with no deadlines. I love to trade, so I'm not I will make a deal in week 16, if I need to or want to. I mean, I love trades. That's the best part of fantasy football in general, and especially dynasty leagues. But I do think it can leave the door slightly open to, I don't want to say collusion, but to
making dumb decisions.
that sort of behavior, right? So like, yeah, I'll throw him a bone. Because realistically, throwing a bone to a player to help them in any form of
is collusion.
Is collusion, right? So that I can understand the argument for having a deadline. For me, if you're going to implement one, though, I don't think it should be during the regular season.
Yeah, playoffs.
That's if you want to start. If you want to have a deadline, start the deadline the day. The day before. Make it the day before kickoff of the first fantasy playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
And then keep it closed and open it the second that the championship is determined.
Yes. 100%.
There's no reason to have a dead period between December and January or February or whatever for no trades. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So, but I'm perfectly fine with no deadline. Again, I love to trade, so having the opportunity to do so 365 days a year is awesome for me, or in my opinion. But I do understand the argument for having deadlines. I just wouldn't put it before the playoffs.
Yeah. No. All right. I'm going to say one more quick thing about trade deadlines. Spoony.
Nuh-uh.
No. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Okay. Wait. No. Spoony. Sorry, trying to sidetrack me. I heard a couple of people saying that what they do is they either lock playoff teams or non-playoff teams from trading, but allow the others to. Like they allow the bad teams to trade amongst themselves, and they allow the good teams to trade amongst themselves. All or none. Yeah, that is complete crap. You should 100% agree. Horribly unfair to let some but not all. All right. That's
so enough. I just got talk about getting thrown way off. I just, you said about Spoony, and I just looked down. I'm looking at the chat, and I'm like, where is Spoony? Bradley Harris. Who is this guy? Like, he's got his real name here. What is this? This is your Spoony.
Yeah, no, it was the same thing when I accidentally logged into the open bar with my actual account. And I start talking and these people are like, who is this guy? And I'm like, right, they have no idea what my real name is.
That's awesome. It's my pseudo name. Yeah, nice.
Brad's his fake name.
Nice. Awesome.
Wait, hold on. We got another question from John Hogue. Kenny Golladay or the 101, and what needs to be added to the other side?
Ooh, wow.
I think I'll take this one first.
Go for
it. I think Kenny Golladay is more than the 101, which means I think we just put Kenny Golladay into the top 2.5 rounds of a startup. Because usually 101 will land around 25-ish. It's Kenny Galladay's team. We've seen him do it. We know what his situation is very solid. Stafford's been in the league for 13 years, but he's still 26. So, I mean, that's not changing. Carry on, assuming he's healthy, is going to be their running back for a while. Marv is getting up there in age. Tate's gone, so which means they're building around Golladay. We know where he is. We know who he is. We know what he is. To me, I think I'd take Kenny Golladay over the 101 right now.
Yeah, and I hate to agree with you again, but I'm going to. I'm with you. I think I just, you've seen him do it, right? Can the kid that you draft at 101 do what Kenny Galladay's do? I mean, you're hoping that player can turn into what Kenny Golladay has become this season.
Yeah, more or less.
So why not go with the guy that's already doing it? Age, maybe. I mean, I understand, wanting to pick up a couple of years if that player does turn into what Golladay is, but you're taking a pretty big risk on that. These rookies bust as much as they hit. So,
right, but what would you say value-wise? To me, honestly, value-wise, I think it's relatively spot on. I think if I saw the 101 for Kenny Golladay, I wouldn't question it. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty close. I mean, I would rather own Galladay, but I wouldn't have. I mean, if I saw that go through as a deal, I wouldn't have any issues with that.
Which blows my mind because I just said Kenny Galladay equals the 101 and I sent Kenny Galladay for Zach Ertz. I never thought in my life I would pay that much for a tight end. The point of playing Dynasty Fantasy Football is still to win. And my team is baller, except I needed a tight end. So I paid for one, which is weird. And I almost paid for a quarterback the other day in a 1 QB league. Wow.
What's
FF
going
Trader
on,
Joe
man?
said, hold on. FF Trader Joe says he'd be hoping that the 101 exceeds Galladay in the long run. Yeah. The thing is that they're both still young. I think, I mean, I don't want to speak for Brian, but I'm going to speak for Brian, is that you want the 101 to be Kenny Galladay right now after a year or two. Like, I don't think like you want that to be N'Keal Harry's ceiling, Kenny Galladay right now. But to be fair, we think Kenny Galladay's ceiling is higher than what it is right now. So it's a scale of where the asset is worth at the moment. At least that's what I think you were saying, because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, something along those lines for sure. Yeah, just I mean, again, it's the key word in what Joe said there, and he's absolutely right, and it's kind of what I said too. The key is you're hoping. You're hoping. I mean, there's no guarantee with these picks. I mean, yeah, we project, and yeah, we hit on some. I mean, there've been several 101s here in a row, I think, that have turned out to be pretty darn good. Zeke
And when
Elliott,
they're all generational talents.
Saquon, and yeah. So, but this class, I agree with. I think Spoon put down there in the chat too. He doesn't think that the 101 is going to spike like it did last year, and I'm with him 100% on that. I don't either. I don't think this class, even at the top end, I don't think the top end of this class is anywhere near the talent level that this last class was. I would say the 101 is probably maybe around the 105 as far as last year's class goes, in my opinion.
It's a little low, but I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think I'd say 4, because right now it's obviously Baquan, Geis, and Chubb. I think that's my cutoff.
We're talking Superflex leagues.
You would so it's like the 108. I mean, with all the quarterbacks that came out this year.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean,
but like, do we think in a Superflex league Herbert is going to be Saquon, Chubb, Geis, and then the 101 for this year?
I'd say Baker. I'd say.
Yeah,
I mean, I
did not include those quarterbacks. Yeah, Baker, Rosen.
Right.
That's probably it. Yeah. All right. I'll take that. Right. So, wow. So that probably puts the 101 in the 40s of ADP, of a Superflex ADP. That's wow. Spoonie thinks Lamar. He's so little. Okay. He's not going to rush 27 times every game. He will die if that happens. But if he needs to learn to get down, he learns to get out of bounds. That dude was taking hits, and it was scary. I mean, I was happy when Lamar was a later first, and I think to me right now that's still where he is.
Yeah, I don't know about Lamar. I think he'll
be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think so too. And you're absolutely right. He's going to have to learn how to protect himself for sure, especially if he's carrying the ball 20 plus times a game. But he will have to eventually become a better passer, or it's not even that he's a bad passer. He will just have to choose to actually pass the football. More often defenses will game plan for that run. And if he can't make the decision in there to stay in and throw the ball, then he's going to get himself hurt eventually. I mean, we've seen that with great playing quarterbacks in the past. I mean, people won't say it now, but everybody was pretty fired up about Robert Griffin that first season, and it was the same thing. He just ran the ball so often.
Shanahan got that man killed.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did. But Yeah, I'm okay with Jackson as anywhere between mid and late round first value. So
All right. So much will depend on who's the coach next year. That's a very good. Do you think John Harbaugh is a good coach? Do you think he's going to easily walk somewhere else and get a job without a problem?
um
I think like he'll walk into the Jets and
okay, so
like he
hold
won't
on.
even have an interview. He'll just walk in and be like, "Sup," and they'll be like, "All right, bye, Todd."
So time out on that. Has this already been like determined? Like is he like
There's a very large amount of reports that they're going to mutually part ways.
oh, I did not hear that.
Oh yeah,
Interesting. I'll
no,
tell you what.
that's
So let me say this. As a Steelers fan, I'm glad.
because you think he's a good coach.
I think he's a better coach than his brother for sure.
Oh, that's for sure. Like I think they're going full culture sweep. I think they're going, man, we just need to undo everything that was and do everything over. And again, even though Harbaugh's been all right, it's not like he's had a very good team to work with.
Yeah.
But
I think he'll get hired very fast.
yeah,
Very
bring him into Denver. Let Vance go. Let him walk into Denver. As long as he doesn't bring Joe with him, it's fine.
yeah.
Because the last thing Denver needs after getting rid of Case Keenum is Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Denver fans if that happens.
Oh man.
All right,
Yeah.
so
Well,
let's. Sorry, go.
no, I was just gonna say about that situation. If he ends up in Denver somewhere, I mean that I don't Case Keenum's a better quarterback than Joe Flacco.
Right, and Joe brings up the good point that there's a new GM in Baltimore, so he actually gets to pick his guy. I
Yeah,
completely
Ozzy's gone.
forgot
That's
that
right.
Ozzy walked away.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right, so let's go back to another one of Eric's questions just to keep things going.
Sure.
Philip Lindsay has been a revelation in Denver and has some nice matchups for the playoffs. Any chance he turns into a pumpkin or worse? Matt Breda, can he keep hold of a meaningful job going forward given his size and the higher risk of injury that comes with it? All right. Start with Philip Lindsay. Go.
Yeah, I mean that's the key. That's the key is can he stay healthy? He's a smaller guy. He's shown that he can produce. So
Has Philip Lindsay been hobbled by anything yet? I
he
don't think so.
hasn't. No, he hasn't this year. So I if he stays healthy, I don't know that I mean he's been good.
Mm-hmm.
And that offensive line sucks.
Yeah, it does.
So um I don't see him turning into a pumpkin. I mean, he does wear an orange jersey, so but it's a little bit different
Uh,
shade. So dad jokes.
keep that dad stuff out of here.
Uh,
We talk about our kids all the time. It's fine.
um, but yeah, no, I don't see him turning into. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on the. I guess the comment about Breda was the
Well,
injuries
he's asking the same thing pretty much. Like
because
Brady's
he's
been doing
pretty
so well.
right.
Is them being both of them being little guys, enough to scare you off? And do you think both of them have roles going forward? Brady scares the crap out of me. But
Yeah,
like what's scared and it doesn't scare me how often he gets hurt. It's the fact that he keeps playing anyway. Like that dude healthy has to be one of the best running backs in the world because of how good he is while he's hurt. The problem is he is a risk to leave in the middle of every game.
yeah,
And
and
that to me is worse than missing games.
right. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Because you start him, and then he gets 42 yards on 3 carries, and then he's out.
Twists
You
his
know,
ankle and needs to go for the rest of the game because he already came in with an ankle injury for the past 3 weeks.
right,
And
right.
Shanahan is already talking about having him and McKinnon in the backfield at the same time, which honestly sounds kind of awesome, especially since they don't have any receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, besides Kittle.
That sounds disgusting to me as a
I mean,
fantasy
fantasy
owner.
wise, it's disgusting.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, it sounds
real life
awesome if
football.
you're right, right. Awesome if you're a Niners fan or just like watching football without any vested interest in fantasy teams. Yeah, I mean that could work for them. I I don't think I still think San Francisco if McKinnon doesn't come back full strength. Like if he's just not the same guy, and I don't know if he will be or not. It just depends. Those knee injuries are like, it's anymore. They repair them, so often and so well that it usually doesn't have lingering effects long term. But you never know. I mean, it's some of these guys you see with Dalvin Cook, like he's struggling with the hamstring and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, compensation injuries don't have much. That I mean, I can't consider it a conditioning thing because I can't imagine Dalvin wasn't working his ass off to come back. But it's
Right.
it's something you have to live with.
Well, and I could see San Francisco investing in another running back too.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, can you say with certainty that they've gotten what they expected out of the position?
I mean, for what they paid into Breda, yeah. I
That's
mean,
fair. That's fair
and
based on what
we
they
don't know
paid.
what they're going to be getting out of McKinnon. I'm a very big Jet believer, so I think they will get what what they paid for him, even
Yeah,
though
and
they did pay a lot for him.
and you and I differ on that because I'm
One of
not.
we need him back in the league so we can
do, so we
disagree
can
on
argue.
something.
That's right. Yep.
I can't wait for this offseason so we can start arguing about something again.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of McKinnon. I mean, who knows? I own him a couple places, so I hope he does well. But I just don't. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I think the time away has opened the door for Breda to have a significant role. There were talks. I mean, McKinnon was starting the preseason games, but Breda was outplaying him, and there was talks.
I mean, Shanahan. No, there was always the
In
idea
Atlanta.
or risk that they were going to pull the Freeman Coleman anyway. So
Right.
I don't think. I think anyone who thought McKinnon was going to be a workhorse is a little deluded. And then everyone got so angry at those crazy people that they started hating on McKinnon. That was one of the things I loved watching, and what made me love McKinnon more and make it more cartoonish. My love for McKinnon, because everyone started getting so angry at this idea that really just was never the truth. There's like McKinnon cannot be a workhorse. He is not built for that. Clearly, he's not built to bend his knee very well. But all right, we're going to stop making fun of McKinnon. But to go back to the question, this season, both of them awesome. In the future,
I think
be okay.
Yeah, I think Lindsey for sure is going to have a role in Denver. It's the only thing that does scare me is a point that you've made previously in our discussions, and that's if a coaching change happens in Denver, does another coach come in there and want to use Royce Freeman differently, and make him the main guy there, or does he want to bring his own back in? And those are things that could affect Lindsey. I don't think if this coaching regime stays in Denver another season, I think Lindsey's going to be their guy.
That coaching staff is not good.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything. The Steelers play them this week, and we need another victory. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Denver right now. And I like Denver in general. But
I mean, I love what they're doing. Like if they can get if they can get a nice young quarterback, there are no real nice young quarterbacks around, right? Man,
Jameis Winston.
I was about to say, is John still in here? What would he think of Jameis to Denver?
Oh, he'd hate it.
Do we have any Denver fans in here?
I bet he'd hate it.
I'm
going to ask him. If he doesn't answer in the chat, I'm going to ask him that, though.
Yeah, it's a step up. You got to think Winston is a step up from Keenum. You're going to have to pay Winston. No, you could probably get him on a prove-it deal. Do quarterbacks do prove-it deals? Probably not. So maybe never mind. Hate it. There you go. There's John.
Nice.
Yeah, because the free agent pool of quarterbacks is rather terrible this year. I think the best free agent is Tyrod, and that's not saying too much. Or Derek Carr? ? With the way it seems like things are going. Did you see the Raiders game over the weekend? Every time Carr came off the field, and like the looks between him and Gruden were hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Gruden is a cartoon character, and like Carr had like the fakest smile on his face. He's like, yeah.
So we can keep sending John into the depths here. So they could always Elway could always try to revive another Manning and Bring Eli in.
No, nobody wants that. Damn it, Savi.
What'd he say? Oh, we're ugly. Nice.
Look, we have a podcast for a reason.
That's right.
You guys chose to look at our faces. So, you know what? We still love you anyway. Yeah, kissy emojis, exactly. All right. We have more Eric Flynn questions. All right. So you're trying to consolidate picks. Do you find contenders are too focused on championship runs to entertain offers? And does that narrow the market? How do you approach? Yeah, right. It's, to be fair, how many times do you approach a contender that still has their picks? I mean, I don't want to say the two are correlated, but yeah, I mean, if you have your mid seconds, early seconds, and you see that some dude is making a playoff run and still has his first, throw out the 2 seconds for their first and see what happens. But chances are he's not going to care about it. And yeah, that absolutely narrows your market. But also, to be fair, now's not really the time to do that. You want to wait until people know more of the young guys coming in, because that will, when people start aiming for people, is when pick for pick trades start to really work. When let's see, I was big into Royce Freeman going into the draft, like when all the draft people started talking about the incoming rookies, and at the time he was a late second. Like, that's the time where I'm like, oh, cool, I got a second. I got a late second. I'm going to go early second. I'm going to go draft me Royce Freeman. Everyone else starts thinking the exact same thing. He bumps his way up into the late first. That's when you're like, all right, well, now I have 2 seconds. Let me see if I could throw those two to get a first. And of course, he might even go even earlier, like he ended up doing by the end of the draft season. So the longer you wait, the better chance you will have to pull stuff like this, because people will have their eyes on people. And yeah, contenders don't care about picks right now. If you send me if I'm content in Trade Addicts 2, if someone sent me a trade for picks, I would absolutely consider it. But first thing I would do is look to see if they have a player I could take off of their hands first. That would help me win.
Yeah. Yeah, Trade Addicts 2 is a weird beast too. I can't sell picks in Trade Addicts 2 to rebuilders.
It's fun. I love it.
It pisses me off.
And then freaking Mello starts, he got Philip Lindsay and he wanted us to talk about him. And I said no, because we talked about him with Shane, and I'm still bringing him up. Trade Addicts 2. I was doing so well. I was on the top.
You're still doing well. You need to not panic in that league is what you need to do.
So panicked.
You're panicked and you just lost your second game of the year. Calm down. Step away from the ledge. You have the most ridiculous wide receiving core I've ever seen assembled, I believe, on a dynasty team. It's ridiculous. Thomas, Beckham, Green, blah 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 blah. You have like everybody.
I mean, and okay, yeah, I have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I mean, and I have the GOAT Eric Ebron, who doesn't even need to catch a ball one game, and he'll still end up being a top 5 tight end. Okay, I brought this. Who did I even say this to? Someone was making fun of me for Ebron on the Twitters, because when you talk to me, you end up talking about Ebron. How tilting would it have been for Ebron haters if he got 0 targets but still scored a touchdown? If Luck caught that ball, I wouldn't have needed to have eaten. I would have sustained my life through the hate seeping out of everyone on Twitter. It would have been delicious. God, I wish that happened.
That was a nice dive too. He almost caught that ball
out. I did not think that was going to happen.
I love Andrew Luck, man. He's so good and he's so funny. I mean, if you ever watch him during the game, like the amount of butt slaps he gives the defensive players is hilarious. Every play, he gets drilled, just driven into the turf, jumps up. He's like, "Oh man, great hit!" It's just, I mean, that guy's just. I love that guy. That's my dude. So,
oh man, how great would it be if Andrew Luck was running that Captain Luck Twitter account?
Oh yeah, dearest mother.
Oh, that would be so phenomenal if one day you find out it was really him and he was just bored when he was getting surgery.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so good. All right, hold on. Savi's done making fun of us or kissing and making up. Okay, serious now. Talk me off the ledge on Howard. So upset, ready to whip his, okay, I could say ass, for a hug and fab. I'm thinking hold and hope he lands in a better spot. No, that's not going to happen. Do we have, okay, I don't feel comfortable playing Howard at all for the rest of the year. Is he going to stay there? This is his third year, so this is his last year, right? On his contract? Or does he have one more?
I think he's got one more.
All right. But still, Dynasty, long game. It seems like Howard is not the direction they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Is Howard... Okay, let's stack Howard up against the 2020 class. I think that's what we're doing, right? Howard is a free agent versus these rookies coming in. Do we think Howard gets a job somewhere?
Yes, he'll get a job.
Cheaply?
Yeah, he will get a job. He shouldn't get one over any of those backs, though.
Right, so I think that's going to be super tough. I think he's going to need to get lucky and find like a Baltimore where they have 3 receiving backs and need that one dude who'll just duck his head and run. Because Howard is better than like Brandon Jacobs was. Yeah, name from the past, but he's like my go-to duck your head and run straight kind of guy. So I think he's better than that, but I think that's what he's going to need to be. Will he be 2018 Hyde? No, Hyde's so much better than Jordan Howard ever was.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was always a little bit, it's tough to say I'm a fan of a San Francisco 49er, but I always kind of liked Hyde's game.
I think Howard will be back next year. He is signed for one more season, and he's cheap.
Yeah, that's really cheap. That's what everyone's gonna. Yeah.
So they'll keep him and then let his deal run out. If they don't want to sign him, just keep him as an insurance. Essentially, I guess.
Yeah, you're probably still only paying this dude like $800,000. Let him sit on the bench if that's what you need him to do, just to actually run games out, or if Tariq or whoever else you bring in gets hurt. It's no reason for them to drop him or anything.
Yeah.
So I think he's stuck for another year. What do we think of Carlos Hyde while we're talking about it? The weirdest idea of a trade. I guess we can't really expect Jacksonville to do too many logical things. By the way, you can see my pants. I have little footballs on my pants. I wore it specially for tonight's show.
Oh, nice.
Right? But I'm wearing a Doctor Who shirt, so that doesn't really fit the theme. I see you got your DLF shirt on, which is a nice shirt. I think I need to buy one of those.
DLF. Old logo, I think. But
yeah. I got Dynasty Trades HQ has some swag. First of all, I ordered it like 2 days ago and I got it already. I'm big into buying.
They had all your information already.
It's true. They know.
Listener league. You're in the listener league, right? So they like probably hacked your computer and they have all your information. Credit cards.
They're all up in my head. They know everything. But yeah, it's awesome, man. Yeah, the tights. I am not. I almost wore the tights for the show, but I promised my wife I wouldn't do that. That's just for her.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Yeah, probably for the best. Carlos Hyde. All right, so clearly he's nothing for the rest of the season. He's a free agent at the end of the season. I think he can go somewhere and get a decent workload. If I have him in Dynasty, I'm not dropping him by any means, and I'm not throwing him out for a third. I think I wait and see what happens with him.
Yeah, I agree. I'd hold at this point. Hope that he goes somewhere else other than Jacksonville. If he doesn't, then he's not going to have a lot of value outside of a Fournette injury, which I guess is very. I guess he has a chance to have some value there, but yeah, it's really a shame too, because this guy, he was good in San Francisco.
Yeah,
he was good. He was good there. Yeah. He was better than any of the backs they have there now. Sorry.
It's different. He plays a very different game. He can do some of the stuff they do, but he's not as explosive as they are now.
He caught 58 passes.
Oh no, I'm not saying he can't catch the ball. He can. For some reason, they never let Hyde do it before.
Yeah.
But I think they're quicker than he is. I think he's a better all around back than they are.
Yeah, they may be a little quicker. You're right there.
Like
But
if the Browns didn't draft Chubb, it would have been a perfect combo of him and Duke Johnson.
right. Yep.
But Nick Chubb's awesome.
He is. He's a stud.
All right. I mean, we have been going for an hour and 20 minutes, which is sort of what we have our show lengths. We got still 6 people in the okay, probably 4 because I think we are in there. So I'm going to stall for a minute, see if another question pops up. If not, I think we might be wrapping it up. This was awesome. I think we could do this again one day.
Yeah, for sure.
Not waiting until next year's trade deadline.
Yeah, for sure, man. This was a lot of fun. The questions coming in live during the show is really great. I mean, that's that's like chatting with buddies, and we're this community is an amazing community to be a part of. Just everybody in it for the most part. I mean, there's bad apples everywhere, but for the most part, everybody.
Who you are.
Yeah. But for the most part, everybody's really, really cool. And especially when you just are into the football stuff, and you're talking about that stuff. There's a lot of people with beautiful minds out there when it comes to this game. And I know, we're fortunate to be in the position that we are to be able to talk football and have a platform like this, to do that. But, the chats that we're in, I mean, I learn as much from those guys as I know I learn as much as they learn from us or from me. And it's that we all want to win. So if we're in the same league, look out. But I mean, we're all helping each other out, and then it's a wonderful community to be a part of. And I just feel fortunate to be able to do this. And thank you guys for showing up tonight to chat with us. It definitely was a blast, and I can't wait to do this again.
Tyler Gunther promised to be here without pants on, so he must have left his phone in his pants after he took them off and not find it. He did not show up. I'm wagging my finger. People who are listening can't see that. All right. Well, on that note, we don't have a show sheet, but that's still the end of our show. I mean, I want to pretty much echo everything Brian just said. Thanks everybody for showing up, for giving us your questions. Thanks for entertaining us with the fact that we entertain you, because it's still crazy to me to think that, people listen to us talk. And we always say we do it even if no one was listening, but it's awesome that people do. So thank you. And I don't think we give enough thanks to DLF for bringing us on. We need to start working in. I have to find a way to work in DLF Family Podcast into the opening and closing, which means I have to find a way to convince my wife to do the opening and closing again. We have to get your wife to do it, or start pulling her weight around here.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's a hard sell.
We have to start teaching your daughter the intro so she can join my kid.
She'll do it. You just won't understand what she says.
Even better.
Yeah, it's just gibberish at this point. So, but
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, usually I end by saying it's time for me to go to bed, but it's actually over an hour earlier than normal, and I got some time before my alarm's going off. I'm probably going to go watch some TV.
Yeah, man. Same here.
All right. Well, again, thanks for listening. I'll post this, so I'm going to put this online as a podcast, because I feel like we didn't screw up too much. And I'm zero editing involved. Why do I need to edit our real shows if we're capable of no more editing? I demand better of both of us going forward. That hurt my finger hitting the table. Awesome. Yeah, man. All right. Well, night, Brian.
Night, Outhouse. Night, everybody. Thank you.
Night, everybody. Deuces.